In 1215, when English nobles stood up to the tyrannical King John, who oppressed his people and heavily taxed them, they created the inspirational Magna Carta, which promised free men a fair trial. The document forever changed the course of English law and later inspired the United States Bill of Rights. England in the medieval ages was a much different country than it is today. Many kings believed themselves to be above the law and ignored the rights of their subjects. One of these kings was King John, who became the King of England in 1199. He's so infamous for his greedy ways that many centuries later he was made a character in the story of Robin Hood, starring as a selfish ruler.
And it shall be a king who will order your execution for high treason exactly 48 hours from now. Take her away.
King John involved his country in an expensive ongoing war with France that ended in defeat. In order to pay his debts, he heavily taxed the English people, who were forced to pay the king no matter the circumstances. For instance, there were fees for inheriting land, getting married, and getting the justice they deserved in court. King John once charged a man 13,333 pounds, which today would be approximately $17 million, to get married. He was especially tough with the barons, who were the lowest group of English nobility. In some instances, if a baron didn't pay the excessive levy imposed upon him, or if he tried to flee the country, the king would confiscate the baron's property and often jailed or executed the baron's family. After King John lost the war to France, he became even more unpopular. Fed up with the treatment, a group of barons decided to take a stand for the rights of themselves and their countrymen. In early 1215, the rebel barons renounced their fealty to King John and organized themselves and their military into an army. They captured the cities of Exeter and Lincoln, as well as the capital of London. This forced King John to agree to their demands. The king asked the Archbishop of Canterbury, Stephen Langton, to negotiate a peace meeting with the barons. The two sides met at Runnymede on June 10, 1215, to begin the negotiations. This led to the creation of the Magna Carta, or Great Charter, which was signed on June 15th. The document had many clauses, but two of them are considered the most influential today and are called the Golden Passage. Clause 39 states, "No free man is to be arrested, or imprisoned, or deceased, or outlawed, or exiled, or in any other way ruined. Nor will we go against him, or send against him, except by the lawful judgment of his peers, or by the law of the land." This meant that the king could no longer decide to put men in jail for his own vindictive and personal reasons, and had to follow the law of the land just like everyone else. Clause 40 states, "To none will we sell, to none will we refuse or delay right or justice." This meant that free men could not be denied a trial, and that the ruler could no longer make people pay to have a trial. The Magna Carta also promised additional rights and liberties to free men, prevented the king from imposing new taxes without the approval of a council, limited the amount of taxes and fees the king could impose, and included the protection of church rights. After the Magna Carta was signed, the rebels promised to return London to the king. The barons had hoped for a more fair and peaceful country to live in, but unfortunately disputes soon started. Once the rebellion ended, King John generally ignored the charter. When the barons protested, King John appealed to the Catholic Pope, Innocent III, even though he had agreed in the Magna Carta not to get anyone else involved. The king got the Pope to declare that the Magna Carta was invalid because the king had been forced to sign it, and threatened the rebels with excommunication. This led to a civil war called the First Barons' War. The barons gained the support of the French prince, Prince Louis, who brought over some troops to join the rebels. The royal troops and rebels fought many battles until King John fell sick with dysentery and died on October 19, 1216. King John's son, Henry III, came into power, and peace came soon after, along with the Charter of the Forest, which gave free men access to the country's forests. This charter was later made part of the Magna Carta, and in 1225, King Henry confirmed the Magna Carta and the Charter of the Forest. In 1297, King Edward I reissued the Great Charter of 1225 and made it part of English law. The idea that a king had to follow the law of the land and that all free men had certain rights has remained a part of English law ever since. While these ideas might seem basic and obvious today, the idea of a signed document listing these rights was a radical concept in medieval times. Over the centuries, the English have revised the Great Charter to meet the needs of the times, but the liberties granted by the Magna Carta have remained. As the President of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, Lord Newburgh, recently said, "Where justice is concerned, the principles of the Magna Carta are a reference to which we should always return to ensure that we are proceeding in the right direction." People in other areas of the world saw the results of Magna Carta and wanted their own written documents guaranteeing their rights. The most famous example of this is the United States Constitution. Like the Magna Carta, the Constitution is a declaration of rights against an oppressive ruler. In his 1776 pamphlet, Common Sense, Thomas Paine mentioned Magna Carta when he urged Americans to declare independence from Britain and to create a written constitution. The conferring members being met, let their business be to frame a continental charter, or charter of the United Colonies, answering to what is called the Magna Carta of England. After America obtained its independence from Britain, delegates gathered in Philadelphia in 1787 to write the United States Constitution. The U.S. Constitution set out how the new government would be run and promised basic rights to its citizens, just as the Magna Carta had promised certain rights to English people. There is also a strong resemblance between the golden passage of the Magna Carta and the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, where it states, "No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." Indeed, 9 out of the 27 amendments in the Constitution can be traced back to the Magna Carta, showing the ongoing influence of the Magna Carta on American governance. While initially the implementation of the Magna Carta was not smooth, leading to a destructive war, the ideas set forth in the document never died. By taking a stand for liberty in 1215, the barons changed the course of law and justice forever. We might not be able to enjoy the freedoms we have today if the barons hadn't courageously demanded that the king isn't above the law and needed to be accountable to his subjects, and that all people deserve justice and due process. The ideas expressed by the Magna Carta became a part of English and American law and still continue to influence the world 800 years later. In this 2014 lecture on the Magna Carta, the British historian Linda Colley talks about the long-lasting effects of the Magna Carta.
Magna Carta has been highly important as a symbol, as a constitutive story of identity, as a persistent component of political argument and claim-making, and as part of a discourse of rights, both here and in many other parts of the world. And Magna Carta retains legal power and charisma here.
This is a timeline of the Magna Carta, which shows the events taking place during the time period when the Magna Carta was signed.